Okay, whenever you're ready.
So today I'm going to present on the common program requirements for residency and then the ECFMG. I arranged it in like a question and answer style. So I'll have a question up and you can either use the chat or speak out loud what you think the answer will be. And then on the slide after the answer will be typed. So for the common program requirements, the first question is, which entity has the ultimate financial and academic responsibility for the GMEC, the DIO, the PD, the ACGME, or the sponsoring institution? So, and that's the sponsoring institution. So the PLA, program letter of agreement, must be renewed at least every how many years? 5, 7, 8. So that. Okay. The program, in partnership with its sponsoring institution, must ensure healthy and safe learning and working environments that promote resident well-being and provide for access to food while on duty, safe, quiet, clean, and private sleep rest facilities, clean and private facilities for lactation that have refrigeration capabilities, security and safety measures appropriate to the participating site, accommodations for residents with disabilities for all. Yes, as the chat indicates, all of you. The program director must possess specialty expertise and at least how many years of documented educational or administrative experience or qualifications. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7. So I have some variation in the chat. It is actually 3 years. Okay, who completes the annual ACGME faculty survey? All of the faculty, the program director, or faculty, or not? Yes. The coordinator must be provided with dedicated time and support adequate for the administration of the program based upon its highest. CAM programs require residents to sign a non-competition guarantee or restricted. Yes, no, it's no, they cannot be part of it. Residents must demonstrate competence in professionalism, patient care, procedural skills, medical knowledge, learning, interpersonal communication skills, custom-based practice, or all. Correct, all of the above. Bonus question: does anyone know what these commonly referred to?
I'm sorry, Anne, you have an echo. Can you repeat that?
Is that better?
Yes.
Oh, thank you for letting me know. What are these A through G commonly referred to as? Does anyone know?
Milestones.
Yes, the milestones. Okay. Next question. Residents must be provided with protected time for core didactic activities. True or false? That is true. The program must provide instruction and experience in pain management if applicable for the specialty. True or false? Also true. Faculty must demonstrate accomplishments in at least how many of the 7 scholarly domains? 3, 4, or 5? This one's harder. I did not know it off the cuff. It's actually 3 of the 7. Evaluations must be documented at the completion of the assignment. For longer rotations, evaluations must be documented at least every how many months? 2, 3, or 4? Oops. Correct. Ignore these. Every 3 months. Which of the following sources could evaluate resident performance? Faculty, peers, patients, self, all of the above. Correct. Any of those would count as a source that could evaluate a resident. How often must there be a summative evaluation of each resident that includes their readiness to progress to the next year of the program? Quarterly, biannually, or annually? Annually. At minimum, the CCC must include how many members of the program faculty? 2, 3, 4, or 5? So at minimum, there has to be 3. However, of those 3, how many have to be core faculty? 1, 2, or 3? Yes, that's where the 2 or 1 comes in. So 2 of the 3 can be just any faculty, but 1 of them has to be core. Faculty evaluations by residents must be written, confidential, anonymous, all of the above, or written and confidential only. So it's actually the all of the above. When the residents evaluate the faculty, they do have to be anonymous. The annual program evaluation and action plan must be distributed to residents and faculty. True or false? True. Programs must report an ADS board certification status annually for the cohort of board eligible residents that graduated how many years earlier? 4, 5, 6, or 7? 7 years earlier. Name the 3 classification levels of supervision. So the first one is direct. Does anyone know the other 2? Indirect, yep. Oversight is the third. PGY1 residents must initially be supervised directly, indirectly with oversight, or at the level determined by the CCC. Correct. At first, they have to be supervised directly. Later, the CCC can determine at which level. Regarding well-being, the responsibility of the program in partnership with the sponsoring institution must include attention to scheduling, work intensity, and work compression, evaluating and addressing workspace safety, policies and programs that encourage well-being, the opportunity to attend medical, mental health, and dental care appointments, stipends for well-being initiatives, all of the above, or everything except the stipends. Correct. No stipends, although I'm sure that they would love the ACGME to require stipends. Residents should have 8 hours off between scheduled clinical work and educational periods. True or false? Yes, true. Residents must have at least how many hours of free clinical work and education after 24 hours of in-house call?
Let's see.
C, correct. They have to have 14 hours free after they're on 24 in-house.
I have failed this test already.
That's why we have this test. A lot of this, as I was going through, I was very confident of a different answer that wasn't the actual answer. So I tried to put a lot of those in the Q&A. Residents must be scheduled for a minimum of 1 day in how many free of clinical work and required education when averaged over the review period. Correct, 7. And the most important part of this is when averaged over the 4 weeks. Because the residents will say, well, I didn't have a day off this week. Well, take the entire review period into account. Clinical and educational work periods for residents must not exceed how many hours of continuous scheduled clinical assignments? 12, 15, 20, 24. Correct, 24. A review committee may grant rotation-specific exceptions for up to blank % or a maximum of 88 hours. So 5%, 10%, 15%, or 20%. 10%. PGY1 residents are permitted to moonlight with program director approval. True or false? False. They cannot. Okay. That was more of the general residency requirements. This is going to be specific to the ECFMG, which when I took the test 2 years ago was the smallest section that we were questioned on. There were only 10 questions total. I don't know if that has changed, but at that point, there weren't many questions related to ECFMG. So what is ECFMG? The Council for Foreign Medical Graduates, the Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates, or the Compensation for Foreign Medical Graduates. It is the Commission. Citizens of the United States who have completed their medical education in schools outside of the US and Canada are considered international medical graduates. True or false? True. Individuals who graduate from Canadian medical schools on or after July 1st of this year will be considered international medical graduates for the purpose of entry into GME programs. True or false? This is true. This is a recent change that occurred just this year. ECFMG is in the process of launching My InHelp, a new online environment that will replace which of the following? The interactive web applications, the online application status and information system, the ECFMG credentials tool, upload tool, or all of the above? Correct, all of the above. They're hoping that with launching this, everything will be in one space instead of throughout many different online spaces. To satisfy the medical science exam requirement for ECFMG certification, an applicant must pass step 1 of the USMLE, pass step 2, or pass both. They have to pass both in order to satisfy the requirement. To satisfy the clinical skills requirement and communication skills requirement, the applicant must complete an ECFMG pathway, pass the former step 2 clinical skills portion of the USMLE, or either or both. It's either. They can either do the pathway or have passed the step 2 clinical skills. The standard ECFMG certificate includes the name of the applicant, the certificate number, how many exam requirements were met, the date issued, the valid through date, A, B, D, and E, or all of the above. All of the above. It also does include how the requirements were met. ECFMG requires that international medical graduates satisfy exam requirements within how many years? 2-year period, 5-year period, or 7-year period? 7-year period. The ECFMG defines irregular behavior as actions or attempted actions that would or could subvert the programs or services of ECFMG. Who determines if irregular behavior has occurred? The ACGME, the Medical Education Credentials Committee, sponsoring institutions, or Graduate Education Committee? It's actually the Medical Education Credentials Committee. ACGME and sponsoring institutions are not involved when it comes to determining irregular behavior in the eyes of the ECFMG. Which of the following is an example of irregular behavior? Providing false information on an application, submitting a fraudulent medical diploma, a falsified passport, or falsified medical school transcripts. Yes, all of this would be irregular behavior. If the committee determines irregular behavior has occurred, individuals or entities may appear in person if desired to appeal. Hearings involving applicants will be held in English and interpreters will not be permitted. True or false? This is true, which is really sad
Weird.
and weird. Yeah. Who registers applicants for their step 3 exam? The medical school, the Federation of State Medical Boards, or the National Board of Medical Examiners? The Federation of State Medical Boards does the registering for step 3. The USMLE program has established rules on how quickly you can retake the same step. You may not take the same exam more than how many times within a 12-month period? 2, 3, or 4? 3 times within a year. Medical school students who have been dismissed or withdrawn are not eligible for the USMLE, even if they are appealing the school's decision to dismiss them. True or false? That is true. To be eligible for ECFMG certification, an applicant must have been awarded credit for at least how many credit years by a medical school that is listed in the World Directory with the ECFMG? 2 years credit, 3, 4, or 5? 4 years credit. Will the ECFMG accept professional final evaluations in lieu of medical school diplomas? Yes or no? No, they will not. You have to provide the diploma. If your name of record does not match exactly your name as listed on your medical school diploma, transcript, or other credential, you must verify that the name on these documents is or was your name. To verify the name, which of the following is acceptable? A voter registration card, a driver's license, a student identification card, or a bank statement? Yes, you guys got that one right, driver's license. Which of the following is true regarding submitted documents? The documents must be submitted in the original language or they must be submitted in English. They must be in the original language. Which entity serves as a designated dean's office for students and graduates of international medical schools? The USMLE, the ACGME, the ECFMG, or the International Medical School? Correct. The ECFMG serves as a designated dean. The U.S. Department of State has designated ECFMG as a sponsor for the following U.S. visa type: a J1, a H1B, F1, all of them, or none. They are designated for J1. Okay, tips and tricks. So when taking the test, you can have your physical printed out packet in front of you, or they also provide you an electronic copy on the screen. So I personally found that using the Control F shortcut on the keyboard to keyword search some of the answers or some of the questions helped me find them much faster than trying to flip through my book in front of me. So I had my book printed out, I had it color coded, I went through it, but I found myself using the computer way more. But for example, in this question, the U.S. Department of State has designated ECFMG as a sponsor. I would, instead of keyword searching the word visa, which will probably pop up 100+ times, I would search J1 or F1 or H1B because it's a little more specific. And if it's the correct answer, it will take you to that part of the study guide. Do not pressure yourself to know all of the content. It's just not possible to retain it all. It's so much information. I went through the whole thing once and then practiced finding answers based on questions that I found online. So like I said before, the paper copy, you could section them off to make it easier, but I would really recommend the Control F feature.
So you said, Anna, that you are allowed to use both versions.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
2 years ago I was, yeah. They with the camera, they make you scan the room.
Yeah.
And so when I had the study guide, I opened it up, showed them not every page, but just that it was the guide. And that was the only material I was allowed to have in the room. And then the electronic version, you don't pull it up yourself. It's built into the testing system. They have it there for you.
So you actually were able to flip-flop back and forth if you wanted to, like use the hard copy and then use the remote? Because
Yeah.
when I took it, I was only allowed to use one or the other.
Yeah, as of 2 years ago, that was the option.
Okay.
I
I
don't
took it
know.
last year and I was able to use both. And
Oh.
what happened with me is that the Control F function did not work. And then I started to panic. And then I started flipping. And then I went back to Control F to see if it was me. And then I just got so wrapped up. And then the time was getting to me.
Mhm.
So it was just, and then I failed by like 4 points. And I was like, but I should have raised my hand in the room, but I felt like it was gonna take time away. So what I would suggest is don't panic. Raise your hand and let them know. I didn't even take a bathroom break. I was like, I'm not getting up. And then I did have to use the restroom, and I was like, then I started stressing. It was bad.
Because then you have to do the whole thing all over again with checking the room and everything like that. So it was like, I wasn't going to the bathroom no matter what.
Yeah, I went in person. I feel for me, in person is better than having to do it over having someone proctor it.
Yeah,
Just
I didn't
because-
have that option. I had to do it because
Oh,
during COVID, but I would have preferred in person too, because
yeah.
the person that I had as a proctor, well, to me, did not speak very good English, which
Mhm.
created a barrier for me.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the control, some people that I spoke with, they had issues with the Control F. It's just, it wasn't, for me, the Control F, I would type in just a phrase, and then when I would try to type in something, another phrase, it would get stuck on that phrase and it wouldn't delete. So I was like, why isn't it working? So I started getting fixated on that instead of just relaxing. But you are able to bring your binder and focus. I would say focus on policies and procedures and the work hours. That was a big thing. It's really confusing. But it's a large section, and the wording was like that question that you asked, Anne, about that we're supposed to provide, a safe place and food, and they put in the question for me was that we have to pay for food. So,
Change
which
one
is,
little thing that's
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, paying attention to the wording is important because you think this is going to be so simple, but they try to, keep you on your toes, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. And like for residency, like the program director has to have 3 years experience for residency, but for fellowship, the program director only doesn't need any experience.
Yeah.
So,
I did like how when I took the test, they broke it down into sections. So when they would ask a question, if it was under the residency requirements, you knew this was only related to residency, and the fellowship section was completely separate. And it did not go in order of the study guide. It was totally random when the sections would pop up on the test. But I agree, there will be questions that for one section, it's true, but for another, it's false. So you really have to pay attention to what section you're on in the requirements.
and in the test, it tells you, okay, we're gonna go on it. This section is common requirements for residency, questions 1 through 15. So the 1 through 15 questions are gonna be Common Core residency. So after the 15 question, you're gonna get a new section. So you have to pay attention to that too.
It wasn't like that for me, Terry. Was it like that for you?
No.
Yeah. So obviously there are different iterations every year, but it sounds like it's getting a little bit more, I don't know if user friendly is the correct word, but maybe a little less stressful.
Yeah.
I think it's a different kind of user friendly. Like if the functionalities work, yes.
Yeah.
But if the technology, glitches, then different kind of stress.
Yeah, then this would glitch if the technology glitched.
My
I'd be down and
computer
out.
totally shut off, blacked out during the middle of my exam. Totally shut down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was freaking out because I'd gone through a good portion of it. And I was worried that I would not be able to resume it, that I would have to start over because it was like 15 minutes before I could even log back in. But thankfully I was able to continue. But yeah, being at like a testing center, that would have eliminated that.
So
Yeah,
how
I deliberately didn't take it in my house because I have an older home, and all I kept thinking was this will be the day that the power goes out or the internet goes out. So I did it in my office. I
So
figured I better
Monica,
be
where did you have to go far to take it at a testing center?
Well, listen, I went on, sorry for the background. I took the test on a specific date because I felt it would bring me good juju. I took it in Phoenix. I took it on November 9th, my daughter's birthday. I took it in Phoenix because she lives in Phoenix. So I felt like all that stuff, which was retarded. I drove all the way, but I was like, I'm gonna pass it because I'm gonna just bring all this good or to me, but it didn't work. So I actually am gonna take it by my house. I'm not driving, I'm not, and that's another thing. I took it late. So I took it late so that I had enough time to study. But this time I'm taking it like I'm taking it September 2nd. And now I'm stressing that maybe I've taken it too soon because, there's a lot of, time left. But yeah, I think driving, going somewhere closer just alleviates that stress of getting stuck in traffic or, you know, um, just not being comfortable. Um, I I definitely have like something small to eat, maybe like a banana or something just to get your brain working. Um, and just to not overthink it, you know? I don't know. We do this for so long and then you start questioning. For me, I was questioning like, do I even know my job? Like, we do this day in and day out. I would say the study guide this year, I think from when you guys took it a couple of years ago until now, I really believe that the Tag Me group has made it this way like easier or just user friendly because they take the comments that people bring to the table. Like it's great that you guys are doing it in sections, but can you just let us know what section you're in or, and then they take their feedback and they apply it. This year, I noticed that the sections are highlighted in red, so you're in a different section. So that was something new that
I
they.
also do recommend not taking it too late because if you don't pass and you do want to take it again, you
Mhm.
have time to do that and you don't have to wait until the next year. Because just filling out the application alone and having your program director involved is so time consuming.
Yeah, and then it's around the holidays, right? They usually stop it like right before Thanksgiving, and you just it's better to take it ahead of time. And then if you decide that you want to take it again, you have that time, like a little bit of study time, and then still have some time to apply for the test. So, um, yeah. But I would say the only reason why I'm taking it again is because I I'm doing it for me. Like some people really get upset and they're just like, oh, the test is hard and they worded it the wrong way. But some people really get salty, like, this is upsetting. But if you just look that you even took the step to even take the test and have the knowledge, I took taking the test and just applied that knowledge and things I got wrong, to focus on those areas. So it can definitely be a positive, just taking the step and just
It's nice that
applying it.
you get a score report, like you referenced. If you
Mhm.
don't pass, you do get a score report that tells you why, essentially, like which areas you scored too lowly in.
I never got a score report. It was just either, pass or fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my colleagues got a score report. We both took it 2 years ago. And she did not pass by 4 questions. Got a score report, leaned into those areas, retook it, passed, and then 2 weeks after was told, oh, I'm sorry, you actually did pass the first time. There were some faulty questions. We've taken them out.
Whoa.
You passed. And she was like, okay, so I passed twice. But she had to go through the disappointment, the personal disappointment, the telling her institution she didn't pass. So there's not really a way you can refund that. She got her fee refunded, but
Well, that's good. But
everything
still,
else, unfortunately.
goodness.
But that goes to your point, Monica. There were people that were complaining about certain questions that they felt very confident in, and the group actually did look and decide to take several questions out.
And another thing too is a lot of people last year who passed, some people were really upset that they took all this time and money if they paid out of pocket, because sometimes the institutions don't pay for it. If you want to do this, you do it on your own, or
Yeah, mine
they
didn't.
have the funds. And you pass and you don't get a certificate. but they implemented that people who've passed, there's now giving certificates to show that you've passed. And so that's they were saying that it took forever or they never got
It'd take
acknowledged.
forever to get the certificate when
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
mine last week and I passed 2 years ago.
What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They
So
did
Did you-
issue an electronic, like stamp when I first
Yeah.
did it, but the actual certificate, it's still in an envelope. I just got it last week.
and that's why, because everybody was complaining. They said, I've never received it. It's like you pay this money and you're not acknowledged. And I have to commend the TagMe group because they really took it into consideration. And even though it's 2 years later, but they're going through their system and they're definitely sending out certificates. So you'll get yours soon. I'll probably get mine when I gotta recertify again.
Did anyone get a t-shirt? Because they sent a message once about a t-shirt and I was waiting. No t-shirt.
No, I didn't get a t-shirt.